Hi, everybody. Jack O'Malley here on a Friday with an update and quite a bit to update. So maybe another lightning round. The big news of the day is the appellate court took its time and ruled today. And I'll be honest, I'm not happy with the ruling. In a 2-1 vote, the appellate court sided with the governor, said that 45 is fine. Now, there's a lot of people happy about that and a lot of people not happy about that. But remember, the appellate process continues, and there is an appeal being filed, and we all know it's going to the state Supreme Court. And the state Supreme Court also has a couple of other cases with regards to the constitutionality and the governor's power. So we'll see how that all plays out. Now, one of the things that one of the legal beagles said to me was that this was a 2-1 split. So this is the interesting thing here is that there is now a legal opinion by that one dissenting judge stating the case of why it's not legal. Point being is when this gets forwarded to the Supreme Court and both sides, the governor and the legislature, state their cases, there will also be a legal opinion on why this law is not constitutional. And it's an interesting, you take all the emotion out of it for a minute. It's an interesting system how it plays out. So we'll now wait and see as to when the governor or the Supreme Court hears this. Now, another thought to think about on this is the 45 law and the 76 law. In my opinion, and the legislative intent was that they worked together. They didn't work against each other. I'm not a judge, so my opinion really doesn't matter in that regard. But what I think could be made is, okay, let's say for just a minute that the 45 law even stands in the Supreme Court for a minute. Says, okay, yeah, this is a legal law. Doesn't mean it's a good law, especially when abused in combination. So that's why the Unlock Michigan petition is so important. In case we do fail, we can remove this power. Now, I've been accused by a couple people, if it was a Republican governor, you wouldn't be fighting it. I disagree. Because I don't think, and I've stated this 1,001 times, I don't think that any chief executive should have unilateral power for any extended period of time. I do believe there is a place for emergency powers. I do. I was with the governor early on, but I don't think that our system of government was set up for unilateral power. So, worst case scenario, the Supreme Court's side with the governor. I think that it is important to remove that 1945 law because it isn't right. Might be legal, but we've had other laws that were legal that we've removed because they just weren't right. So I still stand firm and hope that the Supreme Court sees fit to remove it. But if not, somewhere down the line, whether it be unlock petition or through legislative means, we need to remove that 1945 law and then tweak the 1976 law. So there you go. So if you hear it moving to the Supreme Court, the appeal's already been made. Lawyers are working on their cases. So that's where we stand today. We knew where it was headed. No matter which side won or lost today, it was getting appealed up. So FYI. Some other things that I think are important for you, and quite a bit. So I'm going to kind of move through them quick. Governor Whitmer, her administration is refusing to require its lower level state employees to testify before the COVID Oversight Committee, which I'm a member. The Department of Health and Human Services Director Robert Gordon spent a couple of hours a week ago discussing this. It says, Gordon says he didn't believe it was appropriate for either Division Director Catherine McCumber or Andrea Travana, a senior advisor to the department, to testify, given the Attorney General is looking into the matter. Now, this is interesting. Attorney General Nessel started a criminal investigation into this matter and Andrea Traverna, so much so that she has now gotten a lawyer, which is her right, and she won't talk to anybody. So, you got to wonder, Well, I'll just leave the facts there. You can decide or read my mind. Gordon reiterated that the canceled contract was a mistake for which he takes full responsibility. So then what type of discipline do you get for making such a monumental boo-boo, Director Gordon? Interesting. Still, citizens deserve to know what happened regardless of the state's contract tracing contract canceling in April, said Eric Nesbitt, who is the vice chair of the Oversight Committee. And he noted that her spokesperson knew about the contract on April 16th, but the governor claims she didn't know about it until April 21st. So I believe the line is, there's something rotten in Denmark. The governor is refusing to have people at the center of the controversy share what occurred. According to Nesbitt, this administration tells us there's no problem here, just move along. I added the move along part. But there is a criminal investigation, and involved personnel are refusing to speak with the Auditor General and our committee. Let's see here. What else have I got for you? This is interesting. The governor, when asked what she would need to do to start to allow businesses that remained closed to public via executive order in many parts of the state, the governor said she and the Department of Health and Human Services are attempting to drill down on that now. How many months have we been in this COVID situation and you're just starting to drill down on that now? I'll get to that interesting point here in a second. The governor said the state is working to understand which businesses have not yet been able to reopen and complete additional risk mitigation assessment to determine any changes to current policy. I'll tell you which ones they are, the ones that are on your front doorstep saying, oh, let us open up. Today, the Detroit Regional Chamber of Commerce, which has been generally favorable to the governor, along with the Small Business Administration, Grand Rapids Chamber, and the Michigan Chamber of Commerce, are begging the governor to allow these businesses to open up. Now, to give you an idea here, and also several businesses now are being fined for COVID-related penalties and boo-boos, if you will. Now, a couple things on that front. One, Jack, along with Reps Luke Merriman, Brad Paquette, and Bradley Slaw, have sponsored a series of 4 bills that would not allow the state to revoke a license for violations from any of the governor's vague, lengthy, confusing, and arbitrary executive orders. So you couldn't pull their license because somebody was sitting reading a 30-page executive order and missed something, and then the state comes in and fines or says, we're going to yank your license. These 4 bills say, no, you can't do that. All right? Now, will the governor sign them? We'll see. But so you say, well, Jack, you're picking on the governor. This isn't fair. Well, it's interesting. I was chatting with someone in law enforcement who the governor has set out new executive orders that says, I forget all the details, you can look it up, but the gist of it is that a jail has to test new incoming inmates like right away. Then they have to test them again 72 hours before they release. Staff has to get tested continually, and incoming prisoners, incarcerated folks, have to be tested. Point is, nobody really knows. This all just happened. So this gentleman in law enforcement said, Jack, do you understand any of this? And I said, I'll be honest with you, I haven't read it all, so no, I don't. This, as I'm being told through law enforcement, the Department of Corrections doesn't even quite understand this, because who knows when they got wind of this, which again points to a series of things that I've seen over and over and over. The governor and her science and data clan come up with all kinds of rules, and then they implement them, but they don't discuss it with the groups that are involved. Or if they do, they don't tell them what the finalized product is until they spit it out in a press conference. That is not managing. That is creating confusion and a mess. So it just happens over and over and over. I know the governor, for whatever reasons, and I can speculate, and there'll be people, 400 comments speculating, telling me why she does what she does. But right now, I'm not in her head. I can guess, but I'm not going to. Even if the orders were okay, her implementation, well, I was going to use a word I can't use. Well, I could use, but it's not terrible. But her implementation is lacking. Let's go with that. So I'm going to leave you with this because I think it's so very important. Here's two other things. Chairman Matt Hall of the Oversight Committee, COVID Oversight Committee, Vice Chair Eric Nesbitt, who I referenced earlier in this update, and Senate Oversight Chairman Senator Ed McBroom have asked the State Auditor General to audit the Unemployment Insurance Agency because it is still a mess. Even after all this time, they tell us this is going to happen and that's going to happen. But the cases that we've put through our office in June, they were doing now all of a sudden grilled to a near halt. We've got cases out there, and I think in the month of July, I'm going off memory here, we had 200 cases in June that were fixed. Last month we had like 28. Why? And we still got, 100, 500 cases sitting there looking at things. So the UIA is a mess. And, I didn't necessarily go along with this earlier in this whole COVID thing, but something needs to happen at UIA. New director, new people in charge, something, because I'm telling you, they don't know what they're doing. They can't figure it out anyway. So I read this report this morning. So these are numbers from yesterday, but it's still indicative. Yesterday, the fewest number of cases for 1 day total in 5 weeks in a 24-hour period, 419 confirmed cases in the state of Michigan. There were 19 new deaths reported yesterday, but 11 of those were added on because they were missed from back cases. So yesterday we had 8 people die. Still tragic, but 8. Right? And I keep talking about this because are we still in a pandemic? Let me rephrase that. Are we still in a state of emergency? And again, people are afraid. We hear the number of cases. Well, there's more testing. And yes, more people get it. I talked about it a zillion times. More people are out and about, right? So people are going to get it. But yesterday, the fewest number of 1 day total cases in 5 weeks, 8 deaths. Now think about this. I just was running some numbers and nothing fancy here, but so far, officially, there have been 94,697 confirmed cases. Doesn't know how many people never knew they had it, but had it. That number, other studies over the last few months has said there could have been 50 times more people who have had COVID, but nobody knew it. So 94,697 confirmed cases in the state of Michigan. 6,368 have passed. So think about that. Just using those numbers. Say that's it. There's no other cases. That's it. That means 88,329 didn't die. Right? 94. Let's start looking at it that way. 94,697 people have confirmed cases. 88,329 didn't die. Out of 10 million people. Right? So less than 100,000 as of today have gotten COVID out of 10 million people. The group, 87% of those cases are 60 plus. 42% of those are 80 plus. So as you step out, remember, we've got vulnerable populations, but there's a huge chunk of our citizenry that is not in that danger zone, right? So think about that. So again, 94,697 confirmed cases, 88,329 of those did not die. 8 people passed away yesterday. Yesterday was the lowest confirmed case day in 5 weeks. A lot to think about there, a lot to discuss. I'll repeat the headline of the day, and that is that the appeals court ruled against our case that the 1945 law is unconstitutional and wrong. One judge agreed, and now the Supreme Court will hear arguments from both lawyers and can read that dissent from a legal judicial position. So the Supreme Court decision still weighs in the future, early September. So fingers crossed. And again, even if everybody says, yep, that's a legal law, doesn't mean it's a good one. And we as a legislature need to get that fixed. And we move on. All right? So be safe, be smart, be nice to each other out there. All right? Social distance, wear your mask, right? You should wear your mask. I know there will be some who can't. I always got to say this. Some who can't medically, others who won't. And again, 90 plus. I was out and about today. I would say, walking down the street, but even there in a store, 90+% compliance. You'll never get 100%. So, numbers are looking good in my opinion for a pandemic. Are we still in a state of emergency? I don't believe we are. Are we still managing a pandemic? Yes, we are. So that's what I got for you. Interesting, lots going on, and keep it tuned here. Monday I'll be back with any updates. Monday will be interesting because we will get the revenue estimating conference will be back, so we'll get a much better feel of what the deficit will be going into the next budget, and that's very important. So Monday we'll have something to talk about too. So, all right, I'm out of here. I've gone long today. Sorry about that. I'm out of here. Have a good weekend.